Rodri reportedly pushing for Real Madrid despite back surgery. Manchester City's midfield future suddenly looks fragile. Could Real Madrid exploit Manchester City's uncertainty? Tablo Sports has William Saliba's extended absence, Casemiro's investigation, and Alejandro Garnacho's Aston Villa loan on the board. The biggest question starts with Rodri's reported Real Madrid push. We're starting with the report carrying the biggest badge and the biggest warning sign. Rodri's injury timetable makes this far more complicated than a glamorous Real Madrid rumor. Papers: Rodri reportedly pushing for Real Madrid move despite back surgery. The headline sounds like a transfer request, but the supplied reporting only describes a newspaper rumor about a possible move. The real issue is whether Real Madrid can exploit uncertainty around Manchester City's injured midfield leader without committing to a player whose recovery still shapes the decision. A famous name can move the market, but back surgery makes certainty impossible. Reports cited by Sky Sports say Manchester City midfielder Rodri is reportedly pushing for a possible move to Real Madrid despite being set to undergo back surgery. That's the story, but the crucial word is reportedly. There's no confirmed transfer request, no confirmed bid, and no agreement between the clubs. Rodri remains a Manchester City midfielder, and the injury changes the power balance immediately. Real Madrid may admire him, but admiration isn't a deal, especially when the first major question is medical rather than tactical. How long will Rodri be unavailable, and how quickly can he return to his previous level? For Manchester City, the danger isn't only losing Rodri, it's the uncertainty around planning enough to matter, but nowhere near enough to call a transfer inevitable. Rodri's story is still speculation. Arsenal's defensive problem is official, and that makes it much harder to wave away. William Saliba, out for an extended period with Arsenal back injury. William Saliba's extended absence is a squad planning problem, not a minor interruption. The injury could force Arsenal to rethink the market because defensive stability can't be replaced by good intentions. One center-back injury can reshape the entire opening structure. Arsenal have confirmed that William Saliba will miss an extended period with a back injury after returning from the World Cup. He's reportedly expected to undergo rehabilitation rather than surgery, but Arsenal haven't provided a specific return date. That uncertainty is the problem. Saliba's recovery speed lets Arsenal defend higher, while his calmness gives the midfield permission to push forward. Remove that protection and the team may have to manage space more cautiously, which changes the risk across the whole back line. There's no evidence that surgery is planned, and calling this a small knock would be misleading. Arsenal's defensive depth is now a genuine squad concern. While Arsenal weigh a defensive hole, Inter Miami have completed a major signing and immediately inherited a different headache. Regulation. Inter Miami under investigation after signing Casemiro. Casemiro's arrival is a real transfer, but the tampering investigation is only an allegation under examination. The investigation doesn't establish that Inter Miami breached MLS rules, so treating it as a verdict would be lazy. The tension is whether the publicity around the signing now becomes inseparable from questions about how the deal was arranged. Inter Miami have signed Brazil midfielder Casemiro, giving the club a marquee addition for its new MLS chapter. MLS is investigating allegations of tampering connected to the signing. That investigation doesn't prove a breach, and it doesn't make the transfer invalid by itself. A club wants its new star discussed through football, role, and impact. Regulatory scrutiny shifts the conversation toward contact, recruitment rules, and whether the process was handled properly. The signing creates excitement. The investigation creates risk. Both facts can sit together without one canceling the other. The next move is confirmed, but it still isn't permanent, and that distinction matters for Chelsea, Aston Villa, and Alejandro Garnacho. Aston Villa agree loan deal for Chelsea winger Alejandro Garnacho with obligation to buy. Garnacho's move is a long loan with an obligation to buy, not an already completed permanent transfer. Chelsea appear to prefer a route where Garnacho can rebuild consistency and confidence while Aston Villa take responsibility for his development. Villa aren't simply offering minutes, they're accepting a future financial commitment. Aston Villa have agreed a loan deal for Chelsea winger Alejandro Garnacho until the end of the 2026-27 season, with the reported agreement including an obligation to buy. Garnacho is a Chelsea player for now, so the deal shouldn't be described as permanent before its conditions are completed. Chelsea can place a prominent young attacker in an environment where he's expected to contribute regularly, while Aston Villa get time to assess his fit before the obligation takes effect. That gives both clubs room, but not unlimited room. For Garnacho, this is a reset with consequences. Villa can't simply admire the highlights, they'll need the winger to make better choices and create enough threat to justify the obligation. Manchester City may be dealing with Rodri speculation, but they've secured another piece of their future with far less ambiguity. Phil Foden signs new 4-year Manchester City contract through summer 2030. Phil Foden's renewal is squad planning, not transfer drama. The contract keeps a Manchester City Academy graduate tied to the club through summer 2030 and protects a central part of its long-term core. Foden offers stability while uncertainty surrounds Rodri. Manchester City have announced that Phil Foden has signed a new 4-year contract running until summer 2030. His previous deal was due to expire in summer 2027, so the extension removes a looming contract question. No salary or release clause details have been supplied. The confirmed fact is simpler. Foden remains a Manchester City player, and City have secured a key academy graduate for the long term. Foden's future is settled. Rodri's reported situation isn't. One announcement offers control, the other exposes uncertainty. City have locked down Foden. Ipswich Town are trying to lock down their defense with experience, though the fee still needs careful wording. Ipswich Town reportedly signed Issa Diop from Fulham for £8.5 million. Issa Diop gives Ipswich Town a reported Premier League level defensive addition, but the available evidence around the transfer is limited. The reported £8.5 million fee shouldn't be treated as official without independent confirmation. Ipswich are prioritizing physicality and experience over a fashionable headline. The supplied package reports that Ipswich Town have signed defender Issa Diop from Fulham with a reported fee of £8.5 million. Diop's reported as an Ipswich Town player, but the fee needs to stay labeled as reported. Ipswich are adding an experienced Premier League centre back rather than gambling entirely on potential, and supporters will want to know whether Diop can bring the physical presence needed for a demanding campaign. That doesn't guarantee defensive stability, but it does show the club's targeting a concrete weakness while the financial details remain uncertain. And that brings us back to Arsenal, where Saliba's injury creates urgency at the back while the attack keeps producing expensive rumors. Arsenal retain interest in Paris Saint-Germain forward Bradley Barcola. Arsenal's interest in Bradley Barcola is live, but there's no reported agreement or accepted bid. The link looks partly like a reaction to missing out on Morgan Rodgers to Chelsea, so Arsenal mustn't treat a replacement name as a replacement plan. Barcola offers a different profile from a standard panic buy, but Paris Saint-Germain's position and price remain unresolved. Arsenal retain an interest in Paris Saint-Germain forward Bradley Barcola after missing out on Morgan Rodgers to Chelsea. Barcola could leave Paris Saint-Germain this summer, but no agreement for Arsenal is reported. The temptation's obvious. Arsenal lose one attacking target, another exciting winger appears, and supporters are asked to believe the plan never changed. Barcola may be genuine, but the club still has to decide whether he fits the tactical need. But Arsenal's biggest unresolved question is still coming. Can the club replace Saliba's certainty without turning Barcola into another expensive distraction? Arsenal's market decisions carry real pressure. Tottenham have offered an early football clue, although one preseason result can be a remarkably enthusiastic liar. Tottenham start preseason with 1-0 win over MK Dons. Tottenham's 1-0 win over MK Dons gives Matheus Fernandes a useful early moment, not proof of a settled team. The match can show which new signings and academy players deserve attention, but it can't predict competitive season form. A narrow win is evidence of one afternoon, not a completed squad transformation. Tottenham Hotspur opened preseason with a 1-0 victory over newly promoted League One side MK Dons, with new signing Matheus Fernandes scoring the winner with a volley. That's positive for the player, but it was still a preseason fixture. Fernandes now has a concrete highlight, while the wider squad gets another chance to build rhythm and understand its roles. One finish can start a conversation, it can't settle the team. Nobody should treat this result as competitive season form or infer a settled starting 11. A 1-0 preseason win can reveal a promising finish, not whether Tottenham's structure will survive serious pressure. Real Madrid's name has already appeared beside Rodri. Now Bayern Munich have received a quieter boost over Michael Olise. Michael Olise moved from Bayern Munich to Real Madrid, reportedly not feasible this summer. The available report says the move for Olise from Bayern Munich to Real Madrid isn't feasible this summer, but it doesn't describe a formal bid being withdrawn. Bayern can enjoy the relief without pretending the speculation was ever a completed negotiation. The story shows how quickly Madrid's reputation turns interest into drama, even when the practical route may not exist. Bavarian Football Works reports that a move for Bayern Munich's Michael Olise to Real Madrid isn't feasible this summer. Olise remains a Bayern Munich player, no transfer agreement is reported, and Real Madrid haven't been confirmed as withdrawing a bid. Keeping a prominent attacker becomes easier when the reported destination can't make the move work in the current window. But this remains a report playing down feasibility, not an officially cancelled transfer. Compared with the Rodri rumor, the contrast is sharp. Madrid's speculation creates pressure around an injured Manchester City leader, while the Olise report suggests Bayern may have room to breathe. We finish with the kind of live transfer headline that throws three separate alarms into one sentence and hopes nobody checks the wire. Man United transfer news LIV. £51 million Zaire Emery bid. Manu Kone race. Scott BLW The Sun. This supplied item is a headline from The Sun's live transfer coverage, not verified confirmation of a £51 million bid. The package provides no supporting detail for the Zaire Emery claim, the Manu Kone race, or the reference to Scott. Manchester United supporters should treat it as a lead to verify, not three completed developments. The Sun's live transfer coverage carries a headline about a £51 million Zaire Emery bid, a race for Manu Kone, and a Scott blow. That's all the supplied package confirms. It doesn't provide a club statement, accepted bid, detailed negotiation, or clear explanation of the Scott reference. A bold fee in a live blog can generate urgency, but urgency isn't evidence. Manchester United supporters need to know whether a bid was actually made, whether Paris Saint-Germain would entertain it, and whether the other names are active negotiations. Rodri reportedly pushing for a possible Real Madrid move despite back surgery remains a newspaper report, not a confirmed transfer request, bid, or agreement. That's the thread running through this window. Pressure's real, but certainty has to be earned. That's the transfer picture. Saliba's injury creates an official Arsenal problem. Casemiro's Inter Miami move carries an investigation without a verdict. Garnacho heads to Aston Villa on a long loan with an obligation to buy. And Foden's Manchester City future is secured through 2030. Rodri's Madrid story is the loudest, but the medical uncertainty and missing confirmation matter more than the headline. Keep the names, the clubs, and the source status separate. Football news gets expensive when speculation starts pretending it's paperwork.